Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the Week 8 Thursday Night Football Showdown slate on Draftkings. We got a really good game this Thursday night. We got the Packers and the Cardinals playing. It sucks that the Packers are going to be without Devonta Adams. They're going to be without Allen Lazard as well. You know, they're not really coming into this game at full strength, but I still think this will be a really good game. It should be a high-scoring one as well. So I'm excited to talk through this Showdown slate, guys. As always, we're going to go from top to bottom, just kind of talk about all the playable options, all the guys I do have interest in. And then towards the end of the video, we'll kind of talk through roster construction, how I'm looking to build out my lineups, you know, who I'm kind of liking at captain, and all that stuff. But before we do get started with the breakdown, please do hit the like button down below, guys. I appreciate you guys that do hit the like button, you know, in every video. Also, hit that subscribe button as well if you're new here. I do upload a lot of NFL content to this channel. I still upload videos, you know, for the Monday night showdown slates, for the Thursday night showdown slates. I'm getting up videos for the main slates as well. Those are usually posted on Saturday. And I'm also making NBA videos too. For those of you that are into NBA content, I do post NBA videos normally Monday through Friday. I'm trying to make NBA videos on the weekend as well. I'm live streaming for NBA. I'm still going to be live streaming for NFL as well. So I got a ton of content on the channel right now. Please do hit that subscribe button, guys. Make sure to click that notification bell as well, so that way you do get notified every time I go live. You also get notified every time I upload a new video. And lastly, check out PrizePicks. They are the sponsor of this video. PrizePicks is more of a player prop based DFS site. They're not like Draftkings or FanDuel or Yahoo, where you're building out a lineup and you're having to compete against other people. It's basically just you versus the projections. So you look at their projections that they have listed for each player, and very simply, you just pick whether you think they go over or under their projection, and you can make picks for any sport. They have NBA, NFL, MMA, NHL, PGA. They got baseball. I mean, they got everything. PrizePicks does. But obviously, with this being an NFL video, I'm sure most of you are focused on NFL. So you can take a look at what they have available for Thursday night's game. You can see all the props they have listed. They even have fantasy point projections, so you can pick whether you think a player goes over or under their fantasy point projection. We will talk about one pick I do really like on PrizePicks in a second for today's game. But if you want to check them out, be sure use promo code Noah when you sign up for PrizePicks. They will match your first deposit up to $100. So if you deposit $100, they'll give you an additional $100 to play with. Even if you deposit 50 or 25 or 30, they'll match your deposit, basically double your first deposit if you use promo code Noah. So make sure to check them out and sign up with my code, so that way you do get that deposit bonus. But let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's showdown slate, guys. We're going to start off at the top. We got the quarterbacks as the two most expensive options, kind of as you would expect. Kyler Murray coming in at $12K, Aaron Rodgers coming in at $11,400. You know, for me on this showdown slate, I think you're going to want to be playing at least one of the two quarterbacks. I think it is pretty unlikely that neither one of Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers makes the winning lineup. It's very likely at least one of those two will be in the winning lineup, if not both. Kyler Murray is definitely my preferred of the two quarterbacks, especially, you know, with Aaron Rodgers not having Adams, not having Lazard. I mean, he doesn't have his full wide receiver core for this game. Aaron Rodgers is obviously still in play. We'll talk about him in a second. But Kyler Murray's been, you know, an elite fantasy quarterback this season, as we would expect, you know, kind of as we all expected. We haven't really seen many ceiling games from him lately. He did have two big games, weeks 1 and 2 against Tennessee and Minnesota. But ever since then, you know, 22, 22, 13, 25, 22. He's been consistent, but we have yet to see like that 35, 38-point game that we saw, you know, him putting up weeks 1 and 2. But it could definitely come here in what should be a high-scoring game against Green Bay. You know, right now this game does have a 50.5 total. Vegas is expecting a lot of points scored here. I think we will see a pretty high-scoring game. So Kyler Murray is obviously a top option. He's probably the top projected player overall on this slate. And normally I don't play quarterbacks at captain, but I think Kyler Murray is definitely captain viable on this slate, because we know Kyler Murray has slate-breaking upside. We know he can throw for 300-plus yards. He can run for 80 to 100 yards. He's got just a ton of upside. He's one of the, you know, highest upside quarterbacks overall in the league. So love Kyler Murray. I think Aaron Rodgers is a really solid option as well. I think on this slate, I'm probably going to be trying to play both quarterbacks. You know, even though Aaron Rodgers doesn't have Adams and Lazard, I still think he is someone that can produce and, you know, put up a good amount of DK points even without those guys. I don't think he takes too much of a hit. Now, obviously, you would prefer him to have Devonta Adams. You would prefer him to have Allen Lazard. But I don't think he's just going to come out here and completely shit the bed. I still expect Aaron Rodgers to perform at a high level. I still expect him to play well. And I do want to talk about his projection on PrizePicks. So PrizePicks really bumped him down a lot for, you know, factoring in that Adams is not playing, Lazard not playing, mainly Adams not playing. They only have him projected for 17 fantasy points. Like, I think that's just way too low of a projection. I like over 17 fantasy points on Aaron Rodgers. That is one pick that really stood out to me on PrizePicks for tonight's game. That's one pick I like a lot. And again, you can check them out. You can make some picks for yourself. But over 17 fantasy points for Aaron Rodgers, I like that a lot. I mean, we don't want to look at his game log so far this year because obviously, Adams is not in the equation now, but he's gone over this in every single game except week 1 against New Orleans. He's gone over 17 fantasy points. Even without Devonta Adams, I think Aaron Rodgers can easily go over 17 fantasy points here, especially in what should be a high-scoring game. So I like Aaron Rodgers a lot as well. Prefer Kyler Murray, but I think both quarterbacks are great plays on this slate. Then DeAndre Hopkins at 10,600. I think he's one of the better pay-up options as well. Now, are you going to be able to play both quarterbacks with DeAndre Hopkins? Probably not. It might depend on who you play at captain, but DeAndre Hopkins is definitely a good pay-up option here. He kind of got off to a somewhat slow start this year, especially weeks like 3 and 4. Adams had like back-to-back bad, or Hopkins had like back-to-back bad weeks then, but he's really come on these last few weeks. He's been scoring a ton of touchdowns. He's got 7 touchdowns on the season. I think there's maybe some touchdown regression coming for him. I don't think he's going to score a touchdown every single week like he has the last 3 weeks, but Green Bay is still missing their top corner. Jair Alexander's still out for Green Bay. I don't think they really have anyone that's going to stop Hopkins here. Hopkins, we know, is going to get a ton of volume. This Arizona team, they do spread the ball around for the most part. They have a lot of guys. They have Hopkins. They have, the running backs, they have Chase Edmonds, James Conner. They got Christian Kirk. I mean, they got new addition in Zach Ertz. They've got a lot of guys that they will give the ball to that will get targets. But I do expect most nights and most games that DeAndre Hopkins does lead this team in targets. So at 10,600, especially without Jair Alexander shadowing him, with him out right now, I think Hopkins is definitely someone I'm going to try and pay up for if possible. I probably would prefer the quarterbacks, but Hopkins is still a really good pay-up option. And Aaron Jones, I like quite a bit too. Aaron Jones, I think, probably gets a little bit more volume here, especially in the passing game. Without Devonta Adams, I mean, there's just a lot of targets to go around. Obviously, we'll see more opportunity for Robert Tonyan, for Randall Cobb, for maybe NVS if he's able to play. But I think we might see more opportunity for Aaron Jones to get usage in the passing game as well. He's already been someone that's relatively used in the passing game a good amount. I mean, 4 or 5 targets the last 4 games. He usually gets 4 to 5 targets on a weekly basis. We might see him get maybe 6, 7, 8 targets in this game. They might use him a little bit more in the passing game. We know the carries are going to be there. He still does give some work to A.J. Dillon, but for the most part, Aaron Jones is the clear lead back for the Packers, and he's the guy that has the most upside and the guy we want to be rostering. Usually he's going to be the guy that punches it in at the goal line as well if they ever get down to the goal line. So I definitely like Aaron Jones at 9K. I think with the potential increase in pass game usage for him, that does increase his floor and ceiling overall. At 9K, he looks like a really good option too. Now, between Aaron Jones and Hopkins, I think I might side with Aaron Jones. It's tough between those two. I think both project very closely. But I think both those guys are really good pay-up options. If I can find a way to play Murray, Rodgers, and then one of Aaron Jones or Hopkins, I'm probably going to try and do that. There is some value on the slate we will talk about. Obviously, the Green Bay receivers are all cheap, and they're going to be guys we definitely want to consider for value. But once you get past Aaron Jones, then there's some guys that I'm not that interested in. Like James Conner is 7,800. I think, is just so closely priced to Aaron Jones that I would just rather play Aaron Jones. James Conner is not really someone I've played much at all this season. Even like on the main slates, I really haven't played James Conner at all this year. Look, he's going to get probably 10 to 12 carries. He's going to get a couple targets. He's pretty much been their goal line back lately. It seems like whenever they do get down to the goal line, they're letting James Conner punch it in. He's kind of taken away some touchdowns from Kyler Murray lately, which has been annoying because I've played Kyler Murray a lot this season, and he's lost out on touchdowns because they give the ball to James Conner at the goal line. There's always a threat for James Conner to get a goal line touchdown, but I think as long as he doesn't score like multiple touchdowns, he's probably not going to be efficient enough to where he's someone you have to have at his price point. Now, touchdowns are, the king when it comes to NFL DFS. Obviously, that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to get guys that score touchdowns. I'm just going to bank on the fact that James Conner doesn't get like multiple touchdowns. If that doesn't happen, he's probably not going to put up enough DK points to where he's someone you really have to have at 7,800. They're not using him enough in the passing game to where he can get you like 5-6 catches. He just doesn't give you that floor. If I'm going to play one of the Arizona running backs, I think I'd rather go to Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds has been getting good pass game usage. He's still going to get some carries as well. He's not the goal line back, so if they get down to the goal line, he's probably not going to be out there, but he'll play a lot on third down. He'll probably be on the field for almost every third down. In any scenario where maybe Arizona gets behind, I don't think that would happen in this game, but if any scenario where they get behind, you will see a lot of Chase Edmonds. Again, he's heavily utilized in the passing game. When it's come down to like the snaps for these two guys, Most of the season they've been about 50-50. Last week, Chase Edmonds did play a lot more than Connor, 69% compared to only 30% of the snaps for Connor. But, so far this year, it's been like a 60-40 split. Most weeks, Connor favoring Connor. Some weeks, we've seen Edmonds play more than Connor. Again, though, I like the pass game usage that Edmonds gets, and I think that's why I prefer him over James Conner if I have to choose one of the two Arizona running backs here. Then you got Christian Kirk at 7,200. Look, Christian Kirk's going to probably get anywhere from like 5 to 8 targets. He's always a guy that has upside. He's always a big play threat as well. He is firmly in play. I think he'll be a lower-owned option, but definitely in tournaments, I think Christian Kirk does make a lot of sense here. I do have some interest in him as well, especially, if I'm playing like Kyler Murray at captain. Usually when I'm playing a quarterback at captain, I want to, get 2 of his receivers in those lineups. So maybe my Kyler Murray captain lineups, I'll try and get Hopkins and Kirk in those, or, Kirk and maybe one of his other pass catchers. You've got A.J. Green, you got Zach Ertz you could also go to. A.J. Green's probably my least favorite of the Cardinals pass catchers. I just don't know if he has the upside that the rest of those guys do. He hasn't been playing on as many snaps as well. Like last week, A.J. Green, let me see where he's at. A.J. Green, he did play on 85% of the snaps last week, so he's playing more of the snaps than I thought he would. But Christian Kirk still, being heavily utilized out of the slot. He played 85% of the snaps in week 2, 72% last week. Rondale Moore is kind of the guy that's taken a little bit of a hit. His snaps have gone down a little bit. I think with Zach Ertz in the equation now, that that does hurt these guys a little bit because I think Zach Ertz will be pretty heavily involved on a weekly basis with this Cardinals team. Now, his snaps were not great in his first game with Arizona, but I think his snap share is going to increase on a weekly basis. Last week, he did play 49% of the snaps. I think this week he probably plays, upwards of 60, 65% of the snaps. Again, I think he's going to be, by the end of the season, he might be like an every down tight end. Again, I think he's going to be pretty heavily utilized in this Arizona offense. They spread the ball around a lot. You're probably going to get 4, 5, 6 targets for like all these guys. You're going to have to, hope you get lucky and pick the one that catches the touchdown. But for me, if I'm having to pick the Arizona pass catchers, obviously DeAndre Hopkins is my favorite. He's the most expensive though, but I still think he's the best option. Then I would probably put Christian Kirk number 2, Zach Ertz probably number 3, and then A.J. Green 4. All these Arizona pass catchers are playable, but that's just how I would rank them specifically for this slate. Now talking about some potential value, going below 6K, looking for cheap options. Again, you have Rondale Moore at 4,800. Rondale Moore's kind of, after his big game week 2, he's kind of come back down to earth these last few weeks. His floor has been fairly low. I mean, you've seen single-digit DK point gains from him in 4 of his last 5. I think Rondale Moore will be very low owned on the Showdown slate. Rondale Moore is a guy that has big play upside. Now, is he going to get as many targets as Kirk and A.J. Green and Zach Ertz? Probably not. But all you need for him is to catch like a 50 or 60-yard touchdown, and, at that point, he's like a slate breaker. And he could definitely do that. I think in tournaments, it makes some sense to include Rondale Moore in your player pool. Now, for like cash games, you're probably not going there. But tournaments, I think he's a viable option. The Green Bay pass catchers, though, that's where our best value is coming from on this Showdown slate, just in my opinion. You got Robert Tonyan at 4,600. He's probably going to see increased opportunity, you would have to think, without Devonta Adams. Robert Tonyan, so far this season, has kind of been disappointing. I know a lot of people, including myself, expected Tonyan to have a pretty good year, to potentially finish as like a top 10 or maybe even like a top 5 tight end in fantasy. That just hasn't been the case. He hasn't been getting the opportunity. But now without Devonta Adams, taking that massive target share that Devonta Adams gets, and just you're going to have to spread those targets around. So I think we probably see 6, 7 targets for Robert Tonyan. He's not that expensive. I mean, he's super cheap, 4,600. Arizona has been pretty good against tight ends this season so far this year, which is kind of surprising because previous years Arizona was really bad against the tight end position. I mean, so far this year they are allowing the least amount of fantasy points to tight ends, so that's not great for Tonyan. But still, I think without Devonta Adams, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw the ball to somebody. I think Tanyan's going to be one of the guys that does benefit. I think Marquez Valdes-Scantling also benefits. We'll have to see if he's able to play. He's still on IR, but he does have a chance to return for Thursday's game. I think if MVS is able to play, I mean, he's a really good value. Without Devonta Adams, he's going to get increased opportunity. Randall Cobb is going to get increased opportunity as well. Randall Cobb's like the only... he's like the healthy receiver right now. He's like their last healthy receiver that they have because MVS is on IR. Obviously, Lazard and Devonta Adams are on the COVID list. And then the rest of these guys haven't really been playing much this season. I assume if MVS doesn't play, you probably will see like Equanimous St. Brown potentially step up and get playing time. Maybe like Amari Rodgers steps up and gets some playing time. But Randall Cobb, MVS, and Tonyan are the Packers receivers I have the most confidence in. Now, if MVS does not play, then I think we can start to look to guys like Equanimous St. Brown as punt plays. You could even play them anyways. I mean, they're still going to get some opportunity because, you know, two of their starting wide receivers are out. There's going to be some opportunity for St. Brown and Rodgers. I think St. Brown is a punt play, like a GPP dart throw, definitely makes some sense. I think if MVS gets ruled out, then you could probably consider St. Brown as like one of the best value plays on the slate because of how cheap he is. But really, all these Green Bay pass catchers are really good values. Tanyan, MVS, Cobb, those guys I like a lot here. It's very easy to build like a, you know, I don't want to say stars and scrubs, but like a stars and scrubs type lineup where you're able to fit in both quarterbacks. You're able to fit in Aaron Jones, and you can still make that work because we have some of these, you know, Packers pass catchers that are all cheap. You know, DraftKings didn't really adjust the price on any of these guys. So if I have to rank the Packers pass catchers, if MVS plays, I think he might be my favorite just because he's kind of the guy that has the most upside. I think he's always a, you know, deep play threat. It seems always to get at least one or two deep balls thrown his way. He might be my favorite if he plays. He's again 3,800. Then I probably would put Tanyan third, Cobb fourth, or Tanyan second, Cobb third. But like really all three of these guys I think have a good amount of interest in as value plays. The kickers I think are fine on this slate, but me personally, I don't think I'm going to be playing the kickers just because I would rather get to MVS, Cobb, Tanyan. I'd just rather play those guys who I think give you, you know, touchdown upside, just give you more upside in general. Don't think I'm going to go to the defenses either. A.J. Dillon's really, really cheap. I don't think we need to go that low on this slate just because we have better value, but A.J. Dillon likely will see probably 5, 6, 7 carries. He'll get a few targets as well. You're going to need a touchdown. I mean, he's kind of like a touchdown or bust guy. Like if he doesn't score a touchdown, he's probably going to put up less than, you know, 10 DK points. But again, he's super, super cheap. If you're really trying to jam in a lot of the top guys, I think A.J. Dillon is someone you can look to for this cheap. And then these other Packers wide receivers will become playable for me if MVS gets ruled out. You could still go there if MVS plays, but they would be a little bit, you know, riskier. But they're still cheap. I would put them like in my player pool if I was playing a ton of lineups, if I was doing like 150 lineups. But I think that does it for this for the Showdown slate, guys. I think we kind of broke it down, talked about the player pool from top to bottom. We can hit on roster construction real quick, kind of talk through how I'm looking to build out my lineups. You know, when it comes to captain on this slate, I think there's a lot of ways you could go. I think Kyler Murray is a good captain play if you can fit him in. I think DeAndre Hopkins is obviously a good captain play as well. I do like Aaron Jones a good amount at captain too. And if you want to go cheap at captain, I don't think it's really that bad to play some of these cheap Packers guys in the captain spot because, you know, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw the ball to somebody. If we're going to see 6, 7, 8 targets for guys like Tanyan and MVS and Cobb, I mean, they have upside to be a winning captain. Are they going to, you know, be the highest scoring players on the slate? Probably not, but they can do enough to where they're the optimal captain with how cheap they are, with what they allow you to get in to the rest of your lineup. So let's take a look at what we could do with like an MVS captain lineup. I think if MVS plays, he's one of my favorite values. If you play MVS at captain, I mean, you've got a lot of salary. You could play both quarterbacks. You could probably fit in one of Aaron Jones or Hopkins. Again, I think I slightly lean Aaron Jones, but either way, you could go with both. If you did, you could play both, I guess, and then you could fit in like Equanimous St. Brown as like a GPP kind of dart throw. That's more of like a tournament build, though. I don't think I'd be going there in cash games. But once we go with MVS at captain with our two quarterbacks with Aaron Jones, we still got 59.50 left per player. So, like we could play Robert Tanyan and Christian Kirk. I mean, I think that's a really, really solid lineup right there. You know, that's probably going to be a heavily duplicated lineup. So if you're playing this in the Millie Maker, you probably maybe want to do with something a little bit different because it's going to be duplicated most likely. But I think that's a very solid lineup. Again, I like going cheap at captain on this slate. I think if you're going to pay up at captain, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Aaron Jones are probably my favorite options. Let's take a look at like an Aaron Jones captain lineup. You play Aaron Jones at captain. I think you can still play Aaron Rodgers with him. Normally, I don't play running backs at captain and then the quarterback with the running back, but I think Aaron Jones will be heavily utilized in the passing game. I think we could see Aaron Rodgers throw 3 touchdowns and one of those, if not 2 of those touchdowns, go to Aaron Jones because I do expect Aaron Jones' pass game usage to increase without Devonta Adams. So I'm fine playing Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers together with Aaron Jones at captain. Obviously, we're going to need to put some values in there, but we got values. We got MVS at 3,800. We could go like Randall Cobb, 3,600, and that leaves us not much. I mean, that leaves us enough to play like Rondale Moore, but we can maybe move some things around. Maybe we play, I don't know, maybe we play like A.J. Dillon, then we play Randall Cobb. That gives us a little bit more salary to go like James Conner or Christian Kirk or Chase Edmonds. Now, Aaron Jones captain with A.J. Dillon, I don't think that makes a lot of sense, but you never know. Showdown's obviously weird. I mean, you see crazy things happen in Showdown. It wouldn't be surprising to see Aaron Jones put up a winning score to where he's the winning captain, and then A.J. Dillon maybe puts up like 8 DraftKings points and he makes the winning lineup. Normally I wouldn't do that, but with how cheap A.J. Dillon is, it's not the worst idea to play him with Aaron Jones if you want to do that. I think that will be pretty contrarian. I don't see many people doing that at all. But that's just kind of how I'm looking to approach this showdown slate. Again, there's a lot of value here. We got so much value with these Green Bay pass catchers, all super cheap. No Lazard, no Devonta Adams. Guys like Tanya and Randall Cobb, MVS, are going to be forced into more playing time, more opportunity, should see more targets coming their way. They're definitely some of the best value plays on the slate. You play those guys, you get in your studs, get in Kyler Murray, get in Aaron Rodgers, get in D-Hop, Aaron Jones. And that's just kind of how I'm looking at this showdown slate, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it did help. If you enjoyed, click that like button down below. Click that subscribe button as well. Also, check out PrizePicks, the sponsor of this video. Use promo code NOAH when you sign up for PrizePicks. As we mentioned earlier, one of my favorite picks for tonight's game is over 17 fantasy points for Aaron Rodgers. If you want to tail me on that pick, you can sign up, add that pick to your entry. You have to make at least one more pick, but you can make 2 picks, or you have to do at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, and you can win up to 10 extra money. You can check out their entire board for Thursday night's game, see everything that PrizePicks has to offer, but make sure when you do sign up, you use promo code NOAH. And also, check out my Patreon content, link down below in the description. I do post NFL content on Patreon, also post NBA content on Patreon. It is all available for one price. It's very affordable as well. You can get my core plays for NBA, for NFL. I do post core plays for the showdown slates, for the Monday night and Thursday night showdown slates. I post daily NBA content. I post core plays for NBA every single day. I have a Discord chat that you can join as well. All that is available for Patreon members, so if you are interested in that, check it out. Link down below in the description. But good luck on this slate, guys. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you did enjoy. We will see you in the next one. Good luck, guys. Peace.